What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, if you guys remember, a couple months ago I did a similar video on G1 Megatron because of the upcoming Leader Class SS86 figure coming out sometime next year. We don't know when. It could be early, middle, or end of the year of 2025. Basically ranking and talking about the older releases and why they don't hold up and why the SS86 version will probably be the definitive G1 Megatron figure ever in the Generations line, at least for now. And I basically want to do the exact same thing here with Optimus Prime because I feel like a lot of these releases, except for a couple of the most recent ones, have major flaws, especially when you're trying to have a good Optimus Prime figure that evokes the classic G1 design and that isn't just a good Optimus Prime figure, you know, like the Armada Optimus or some of the more recent universes of Optimus Prime that Hasbro has redone that's arguably some of the best Optimus Prime figures and one of the best figures ever made within the Generations line. So for today, it's strictly just going to be G1 Optimus Prime. There's going to be no ones that are basically out of scale. There is one that you could say that's out of scale that's on this list, but you could still fudge it with everything. So no deluxes and no Legends class releases of Optimus Prime from the Generations line. It's just Voyagers, and there is, I think, like one Leader class from 2018, which is the one that I was saying that's a little out of scale, but you could still fudge it. It still kind of works with stuff. But with that said, with that out of the way, let's get right into this list. So first one here, we have Classics 2006 Voyager class Optimus Prime, the Optimus that started it all in the Generations line. Before it was called Generations, we had Classics, and I still think this is a pretty good figure. It still holds up in my opinion, especially with the design and the truck mode that they chose. It's very unique. It's very realistic and I wouldn't say like modern, but it's something that you could hold and you could be like, okay, this feels like a more of a friendlier budget version of an Alternators figure. It just feels good. It looks good. I have the version of this mold. It's the Takara Ultra Magnus with all the chrome and the nice paint. It's not the American release. And hold it after, you know, messing around with that mold for a couple of years now, I think it still holds up. I mean, obviously it's still missing some key articulation points that we know and love for figures nowadays, like wrist swivel, ankle tilt, and ball jointed neck. In terms of the design and the overall functionality of the figure, I still think it holds up pretty well. And I think this is probably one of the better contenders if you want, I wouldn't say like a definitive G1 Optimus in your Generations shelf, but one that is up there and being one that you could actually mess around with and be like, okay, this is still a pretty good figure. So I can't really hate on this figure too much. It's just, you know, a little outdated in terms of the design and engineering because, you know, this figure's almost 20 years old. It's kind of to be expected, but you know, it's still obviously not too ideal if you're looking for, you know, the definitive G1 Optimus in your collection. But again, still holds up fairly well for today's standards. And next one, we get a bit of a time jump, almost 10 years. It's been 9 years basically since we get Optimus Prime that's in scale with all your Generations figures. Before 2015, it was mostly Deluxe class and Legends class releases after the 2006 Voyager class from Classics. You know, Hasbro and Takara repainted that Classics mold a bunch of times 9 years in between this Combiner Wars Voyager class Optimus Prime mold was made, and that was basically just the Optimus we had for our Generations shelf for a long time, at least one that you wanted to scale with all your other figures at least. But this Combiner Wars Voyager class right here, I think in the premise of the figure works well, but the execution and the overall look of the figure is just absolutely atrocious. I had this figure when it first came out in 2015, and within a few days of having it, I transformed it maybe like 2-3 times, and I was just casually playing around with it, and the freaking, like, pegs snapped off the shoulder. You know, the hinges that you flip out to rotate the arms inward to transform it into truck mode. That snaps right off. The hinges broke. So I returned it. I think I got it at like Walmart or something. I returned it a few days later. And yeah, just the plastic quality feels super off. It was in that era of Hasbro and Transformers where the figures felt very knockoff-ish, and they just weren't like engineered good at all. They were very poorly engineered. They didn't look that great. They didn't articulate well. They didn't transform well. And this was also around the time when they started doing more so stickers as opposed to painted detail, which for a collector's line aimed more at adults is a pretty dumb idea, unless if you're talking like a novelty item that comes with stickers that you can put on whether you want to or not, you know, a separate sticker sheet, which is what Hasbro does nowadays after the Prime Wars trilogy ended, which is the most ideal in my opinion. Just this whole era all around just had a lot of crappy toys and crappy quality for Transformers figures. So this Combiner Wars Optimus is really no surprise and no exception of that era of Transformers from Hasbro. And he just doesn't hold up well at all. The overall look at this figure, the big gorilla arms, they go almost down to the freaking second wheel, the bottom wheel next to his foot. Those arms are super long and way too big for his body frame. The head is way too small. The midsection and the legs are way too boring and blocky for the G1 design that they're going for. Just to kind of put some knowledge on what design they're going for here, it's supposed to be one of his IDW designs, I think during the early 2010s run, like right before Lost to Light. It was after the 2009 run, but right before like RAD 2012 and Lost to Light, I believe. Or maybe it was that same design within that comic run of Lost to Light. It was in between that era of IDW Transformers comics at the time. So that's basically kind of the design that they're going for with this figure, and it falls flat on its back. I mean, you could still kind of tell in the vehicle mode and the robot mode what Optimus G1 design they're kind of going for. Okay, this is like the IDW version around 2010, 2011, but it still looks awful. I would not recommend buying this figure. The only saving grace about this thing is maybe that he comes with two guns. You really don't see that too often with a modern day Optimus Prime figure. But other than that, yeah, the truck mode, very uninspired and bland in terms of the details, like just super off. And the robot mode, I mean, what is there left to say about the robot mode? Just look at that thing. But you fast forward about 2 years later in 2017, you get a Leader Class Power Master Optimus Prime in the Titans Return line, and this is still G1 Optimus, even though it is Power Master. It's technically different, but it's still in the same, continuity of G1, so it still counts. And I think this is one of the more better Optimus Prime figures they made during this Prime Wars trilogy run, but it's still not great. It's on that Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus mold, and they nuked it to hell, in my opinion. Like, just look at the hollowed out forearms. Like, this was truly the dark times for Transformers figures in terms of look, functionality, and engineering. Since when do you get forearms like that on a mainline collector item, basically? If that happened in today's day and age with a Leader Class figure, there would be major boycotts and a ton of controversy over this figure online. I would just know it. That just looks terrible. The guns are reused from Ultra Magnus, so that's terrible for a Power Master G1 Optimus. They do quite a bit of remolding, but it's still really not too great looking. It just really doesn't evoke Power Master Optimus in a way that I feel like all of us really want, and to a further extent deserve, honestly, with a Power Master Optimus, because the last time we got one was when it originally came out, and what was that, like 1988, 1989, which at the time this figure came out was roughly 30 years ago in 2017, almost 30 years ago. So I just think it's a spit in the face to Transformers fans that have been eagerly waiting for a new Power Master Optimus Prime for pretty much 30 years when this figure came out in 2017. And the fact that they wanted to remold it from Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. Now, mind you, I don't hate that Ultra Magnus. I still think it's pretty good. It's based off of one of my favorite comic runs, one of my favorite Ultra Magnus designs in the Transformers lore and universe. So I can't hate on the mold specifically. It's just the choices that they made to turn IDW Magnus into G1 Power Master Optimus. Why in the hell would they do that, you know? And they absolutely nuke the mold too. Like, that hollowness in the forearm was not there on the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. That was filled in, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this is just a terrible release for a Power Master Optimus Prime from the G1 universe, and it's just a spit in the face to people that were waiting on this figure. I would not pick this up. I'm pretty sure they're going to redo a Power Master Optimus in the next few years at Commander class, which to me sounds pretty freaking fantastic. Just keep the size of this guy at Commander class and just, you know, give it that Commander class bells and whistles that we're all used to now since 2019. So yeah, this thing is trash. I would not buy this. And then you wouldn't have to wait too much longer. It came out in the same line. I can't remember if this Voyager class release was before or after the Power Master Optimus, but in Titan's Return 2017, we get another Optimus Prime at Voyager class, and it's basically Laser Prime, but turned into a triple changer and also a headmaster. So I don't really know what their thinking was here. I mean, a Jet Optimus Prime is kind of cool. Now that I think about it, I honestly haven't thought about, you know, this Optimus Prime having a jet mode. You know, a freaking Optimus Prime that has a jet mode is kind of insane when you think about it. But just the execution, I mean, the front of the truck is literally hanging off both ends of the jet mode. Like, that looks terrible. I mean, I know this is a $25 Voyager class at the time in 2017, so I can't knock it too much for the price point and what they were able to achieve with a triple changer back then. But still, it was not executed well, and they made him a headmaster, which makes things even worse in terms of the look of the figure, the design, and the engineering of the head sculpt. Just made it look horrible and super unnecessary for a Laser Prime redo. It's like they just shoved a G2 Optimus within the G1 continuity of the headmasters. It makes absolutely no sense. And the look of the robot mode, it's okay if you ignore the super wide head sculpt there. It's decent, I guess, but just the look of it, it just doesn't feel like Power Master Optimus, or not Power Master Optimus, G2 Laser Optimus. It feels like kind of a redesign that didn't have to be redesigned, so it feels like something that was super forced and unnecessary to begin with. I would not pick this up. I think in terms of the overall look, design, and engineering of this figure, it's pretty outdated for today's standards in 2024, and just wait for the Commander class coming out later this summer. So next one here on the list, you have to wait about a year later for this release in 2018 during the Power of the Primes toy line. We have a Leader Class Optimus Prime. Another one, the last one we got was the year prior with the Power Master release. And now this is more of a classic G1 look. It's still redesigned slightly. It's not based off of any contemporary G1 Optimus redesign or anything, not from the comics or the cartoons. It's basically just Hasbro doing their own thing and kind of having fun with an Optimus Prime G1 release, I guess, which is fine. I advocate for that, for Hasbro to try out new things with these characters. It's still not what we're looking for. He's too big. I mean, I said earlier, you could fudge him in with certain things, you can, but he's still too big for a G1 Optimus at Leader Class. Power Master Optimus, I can understand, because that's, you know, that's a combiner in a way, and that version of Optimus was always bigger than your typical G1 Optimus scaling. But this is just blown way out of proportion and super unnecessary, in my opinion, just to give that evolution of a Prime gimmick that they had during Power of the Primes for their Leader Class figures. They should have just did Star Saber, so you could have had one at mainline release, then do a more faithful and probably better figure with the HasLab 5 years down the line like what they did. But nope, they seemingly canceled Starsaber and gave us a out-of-scale G1 Optimus. Good going, Hasbro. This was around the time when they wanted to do nothing but the core characters. They really didn't want to take risks unless if it was a deluxe class release or kind of a Voyager class release. But when you look at Voyager class during that time, it was mostly just A-list characters with a couple B-list and maybe C-list characters sprinkled in here and there. Really nothing too crazy. So, and when you look at that era when you look at this era through that lens, it's really no surprise that they chose G1 Optimus over a Starsaber, which probably would make more sense judging by, how the character transforms and the lore behind G1 Starsaber. But hey, we got this instead, and it really isn't that great. The overall redesign just doesn't really make sense, like the trailer becoming a part of Optimus. I don't think we really need that to be necessary, but I don't know, I guess it would be kind of cool, but just the way they handled it, I don't really think works for, a definitive G1 Optimus, basically, in their Generations shelf. He's too tall, and the obvious redesigns are a bit too unnecessary, much like what they did with Laser Optimus. Now, Laser Optimus isn't G1, obviously, it's the G2 version, but they colored it in the G1 release. I do want to point that out because I know that's a little bit of a plot hole, I guess you could say, in my video here. But it's still colored in G1 Optimus, and it still has that same sort of G1 Optimus design. So it seems like what they were trying to do is take the Laser Optimus design and put it through a G1 lens. And that's another reason why I don't think this release for this Optimus Prime here works. Let's take the G2 Laser Optimus design and put it through a G1 lens. That's a great idea. Hell no. But yeah, I don't think this Leader class Power of the Primes Optimus works either. Fast forward another year and you get another Voyager Optimus Prime in Siege. This was the time when they were just pumping out G1 Optimus Prime figures like crazy, year after year, for almost 5 years. Well, they did until 2022, I think. So 6 years straight, it was just G1 Optimus Prime every freaking year. People were sick of it. And outside of that, you were getting another G1-esque Optimus Prime with the Bumblebee movie release, and I think there was a couple other releases that I'm forgetting, but yeah. It was crazy at this time, and I'm glad we're past this, it seems like, for now at least. Who knows what's going to happen when Warden returns. But anyway, with the Siege Optimus here, I think this is probably one of, if not the best, attempt at a G1 Optimus in the Generations line in Voyager class that'll actually scale with the rest of your characters on your shelf. Now, it's still flawed because obviously it's supposed to be a Cybertronian version of the character, and they were super safe in that aspect of this design here, and they really just sacrificed the Cybertronian look for something that, well, you could kind of fudge it on your shelf for a G1 Earth mode Optimus, and it just does not work at all. Like, the robot mode, sure, you could, fudge it and say, hey, in the G1 cartoon, they still had their Earth mode kibble. That could work in your argument, your own little headcanon there. That's fine. But when you get to the vehicle mode, what the hell? This is super uninspired. It's basically just the Earth mode with a couple futuristic tones on it to say, hey, at least we kind of tried a Cybertronian mode for this Optimus, but we failed and falled flat right on our booties. So yeah, I just don't think this release is super ideal if you want, I don't know, a G1 Optimus for your Cybertron shelf. It just seems weird. I don't know what I'm trying to say here after that aspect. It's really good in terms of the articulation and the engineering, but I just feel like certain things are just missing with it that I just can't put my finger on it, that I really do feel like this Commander Class SS-86 release is going to do for us here later this year in a couple months, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure It's going to be revealed next month in July. Entertainment Earth put up a teaser thing that they always do for upcoming reveals and new releases. So it seems like we're going to be getting a new look at this figure for the first time in about a month or a few weeks' time. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, the Siege Optimus, it's a step in the right direction, but I still don't think it's like the best or the most ideal G1 Optimus we could get. You know, it's like G1 Optimus put through a forced and uninspired Cybertronian lens that really doesn't work and kind of hampers the design, if you ask me. But yeah, moving on with the last one here. The most recent release of a G1 Optimus in the year 2020, the year that changed us all, I'm sure. But we got arguably the best G1 Optimus Prime in the Generations line up until this summer. So with this Earthrise release, you get articulated hands, you get a super dynamic and diverse transformation, and the engineering is nice, cool sculpted details, good paint where it counts. You get the trailer, which looks semi-decent. I mean, it is a little out of scale, and it is missing some key paint hits that they easily could have done at a leader class price point and budget, in my opinion. You do get the med bay, which is pretty cool. It is missing roller, which I think they are going to remedy with the Commander class release, or at least I would hope they would do, but I don't know. Roller didn't appear in the 86 movie, so they may just leave that out and include something else to make up for the lack of Roller, and probably put him in like a core class release or a separate release of that Optimus down the line. I don't know. That's just me speculating. When the area where this figure doesn't work, I mean, it's got good articulation. It's got hand articulation to hold the Matrix, a cool Matrix chamber that's actually functional with a removable Matrix. So it's got all those bells and whistles. You know, how can it be bad, right? But when you look at the figure and you really start to pick it apart, it's where this figure just falls apart, kind of. The overall proportions, he's got a stumpy midsection. He's got these kind of like gangly, stubby, like not gangly, just stubby arms in general. The super wide and just puffed out chest due to the Matrix feature taking up a lot of that room. And of course, the transformation, which also houses all of the fake pieces of the front section of the truck within that chest piece there in robot mode. It really makes for a chest that's a bit too puffed out, and it really makes for certain poses where you want to have him two-hand the gun, super tough and pretty much impossible. And it also doesn't help that the arms are a little too short as well. And the legs, combined with, you know, a stubby midsection, they give him super long legs, which I guess they had to sacrifice that for the vehicle mode to be a bit more proportionate. I don't know, like, it just makes for a weird, proportioned Optimus Prime in robot mode that I really don't think works too well. And I really do think that's where the figure falls super flat, and it holds it back from being the best Optimus Prime, and especially with the fact that you're missing some accessories like his axe, like Roller, maybe his other gun, you know, stuff like that would really work that I think they could really achieve at a Commander class price point. And of course, fixing the proportional issues in the robot mode that really hamper the overall look and functionality of this guy. Like, when you pose him up, you could totally tell his thighs are a little too elongated. His midsection just looks super off to the rest of his body. And like I said earlier, with the arms, they're too short, and the chest is too puffed out. So you can't do certain arm poses with the gun, and it just looks awkward at times. So I really do think they're going to remedy that with the new Commander class release. And if they don't, man, that's going to be a super missed opportunity, and y'all know me, I'm definitely going to be complaining about that. I think they're going to figure out a way to fix these proportional issues that, in my opinion, really hamper and ruin this release. But this is still probably the best Optimus Prime in terms of his G1 look that you're going to get. until, you know, if you just wait a little while longer later on this year with the Commander class, that's probably gonna blow this figure out of the water. But if I were to pick between, if you still want to get a G1 Optimus besides the Commander class coming out, I would pick between this Earthrise figure, the Siege Voyager, and the Classics Optimus. Either of those three I think would work pretty well if you want to have another G1 Optimus in your display. Another one that satisfies you and a figure that isn't blah. One that at least is sort of a contender with the upcoming Commander class. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below. What do y'all think about all these Optimus Prime figures? Do you hate them? Do you love them? All my social medias are linked down below. My email is also linked down below if y'all want to hit me up about business inquiries, or if you want to message me about whatever, or if you want to subscribe to my new Patreon link down below. It's got tons of exclusive content that I won't see here on YouTube or anywhere else, such as exclusive stop motions, Transformers photography. You guys get 1 week access before everybody else here on YouTube to my stop motion films, Discord access, exclusive music and music snippets from my stop motion films, behind the scenes of projects I'm working on, such as dioramas, videos, photography, and stop motions. So if you guys want to help support me and help support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye!